Well, tax day is a little over a month away, and we're in the heart of tax season. Many of you thinking about meeting with your accountant to go over your 2016 taxes.
But instead of thinking about taxes after the fact, we're talking today about planning for them well in advance. Omaha's retirement strategist is here.
Darrell Bryant is one of the area's leading financial advisors, and he joins us every Monday to help us plan for retirement. Good morning, Darrell.
Hi,
How
Darrell.
are you?
Good morning.
Great to be here.
We have heard you talk about this point in the past, taxes and the impact it can have on retirement.
Sure.
How big of an impact could that be?
Well, taxes is everyone's number one expense, really, when it comes right down to it. You spend more on taxes than anything. That does not go away in retirement. You have sales tax, property tax, income tax. It hits you in a number of different ways. Short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, ordinary income, of course, and then your Social Security could be taxed up to 85% of that. And so there's a lot of juxtapositioning that goes on when you get ready to retire that is much, much easier to do if you've done some pre-planning in terms of the way you have your finances, your affairs arranged so that you can pull from whether it's tax-free income or taxable income at different tax rates, whether it's capital gains rates, ordinary income tax rates, non-taxable, in the case of Roth IRA, et cetera. So,
A leading advisor in our area, and this is your specialty. And
It is.
you have your own practice. I sort of feel like if anybody knows the answer to this, it's you.
well, we do a lot of reading. Yeah,
right.
I'll tell you that.
Do you find that people sometimes underestimate how much taxes can erode their nest egg? I mean, maybe they're looking at other things, but they sort of underestimate this.
They do, and you can see that by way of the fact that people have not given any thought to the tax planning prior to retiring. The problem is the average, you might think that you could go to your CPA and he's going to say, well, do this, that, and the other thing, and that should be helpful when you get ready to retire. But really, it starts with this. Imagine if you're retired, Mary, and you and your husband say, you know what, we need to have $100,000 income, or whatever the number is, okay, it doesn't matter, but you need to have a certain amount of income coming in. So you say, well, that's our budget, with the health insurance and all this type of thing. Wouldn't the first thing that you should do go to the tax table, which is not a difficult thing to do, right? You go to a tax table and it says, well, if you go to 101, you're going to have a problem. You go into the next tax bracket, so you'd be smart to know that, right? Okay, so if 100 is the number, well, where should we pull from to keep that in the most tax advantage way that we can? In other words, wouldn't it be nice if you're approaching that $100,000 number to say, well, why don't we just pull from our Roth and keep it under that? Why don't we pay our health insurance premiums from our HSA that we've had all these years that we can pay now our health insurance premium tax-free? Well, that's part of the budget, right? That was part of the $100,000. So if you have all of these components and your ducks in a row prior to retiring, then it's just a matter of picking from the menu.
Yeah.
I like that. It sounds easy.
This sounds easy.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as you would think. It's just
Right.
that nobody does that, and CPAs, let's face it, most CPAs, what do you do when you go to the CPA? You say, here's my stuff, here's what I think you probably ought to know, right? Here's all my junk, and let me know what the number is.
What's the damage?
Right.
What do I got to do?
And there's very little thought, and you're in a hurry, okay, let's just get this done. You get everybody's signature, send it off, and write the check, and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, CPAs are busy too during tax season. So the smart thing to do is to take some time and do some real planning, which CPAs, in my opinion, from my experience, they kind of have to be pushed to give you some proactive advice. They're kind of reactive. They're just going to do the math and say, here's like you said, here's the damage. Here's the damage from what you did, right? Well, how about if you tell me what I should have done or what I should do going into this new tax season, and especially with the new Trump tax plan, well, that's a new wrinkle, on things. So a lot to think about.
It's not all doom and gloom, though, when it comes to taxes and retirement.
No.
There's some simple things you can do prior to retirement now to lessen that burden and when you get to retirement?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'd be thinking of Roth conversions. You'd be thinking of forecasting your income need, right, versus, for example, what your required minimum distribution is going to be. And bottom line is this. Throw your stuff in a box, right? Generally know your numbers. Call the office, and we'll just start digging in. You don't have to memorize this, even by the same token as you would. You don't have to know the tax law to go see your CPA, right? You don't have to be know the human body too well to go see your doctor. You just go, right?
Yeah.
So you throw your stuff in the box. You call the office, and we'll just jump in from there. We can certainly work with your CPA to get his or her advice on how to help you to get this positioning put together. And most of us would really prefer not to pay a lot in taxes.
No
right?
kidding.
Right.
Most of us.
I'm first.
Can we raise
We
your
pay a
hand if
lot.
you would
We
like
do
to
pay
pay
a
more
lot.
in taxes? I think we might have a small group out there. Listen, the key here is to really adjust your mindset and look at taking action before you think you need to. And Darrell's brought this special offer in. You can schedule a complimentary retirement consultation with Darrell's team if you have a $250,000 in assets. And so you'll call 402-932-2141. And like he said, you just bring your stuff in. It's pretty simple. You don't have to know what you need. That's why him and his team are there.
Yeah, you got that phone number there, but you can also head to dbryantretirementstrategies.com for more information. All good tips, though, Derek. I mean, really planning is the key here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is the key. And I can't stress enough that the trip to the office is not going to be a stressful one. You know, by the time Dane comes in with the hot cookies and we have our special blend of your favorite coffee, Mary, then you know it shouldn't be as taxing. Pardon the pun. Shouldn't be as taxing on you as you think it should be. As long as you know what you're trying to accomplish in general terms. So, hey, you know what? We're 62 years old and we're kind of targeting 65. Number one, we need an income plan. We need to set up our own personal pension plan. And shouldn't that involve some form of tax management? Shouldn't we be thinking about whether or not that's going to be taxable or not?
Yeah.
You know? And what are we up against, you know, moving forward the way we are, and what changes should we make? And then we just go from there. Don't be intimidated.
I imagine a lot of your clients leave with a sense of relief knowing they they're on their way to a plan. Darrell Bryant, thanks for coming in today.
Thank
sir.
you. We'll
Yeah.
see you next Monday.
Absolutely.
Have a great
Okay.
week.
Yep.
Guest of the Morning